Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Miss KW. Today, we are going to be talking about rice and ratios. So, this week I asked you guys, how do you cook rice? And I got so many different answers. It was incredible. So, I just want to say before I start that I appreciated all of your answers and that there's really not one correct way to cook rice, especially because there's so many different kinds of rice and people like to eat their rice in different ways. So I'm going to be sharing some of the answers that you guys sent to me and thinking a little bit more about the math in them. So the first thing we have here, someone said, my mom makes Mexican rice, it's orange, here we have a picture of that, and that they cook their rice on the stove top. And for 3 cups of rice, you would do 4 cups of water, or for 2 cups of rice, you would put 3 cups of water. So you always put 1 more cup of water than you put in rice. And this person's mom taught them how to make it. So here we can see in this table, that's showing the relationship. So for every cup of rice, you would add 1 to get how many cups of water you need to add. So we're learning about proportional relationships this week. Is this a proportional relationship? How do you know? So this is not a proportional relationship because we're just adding 1. When we're thinking about proportional relationships, we're thinking about multiplication. Okay, here's another example. So these two were kind of similar, which is why I put them together, even though one of them cooks it on the stove and one of them cook it in a rice cooker. But for both, they add 1 cup of rice and then double the water. So if you have 1 cup of rice, you would have 2 cups of water. If you had 2 cups of rice, you would have 4 cups of water. In the second example, they weren't measuring with cups. They measure with bowls and water bottles, but it's still the same ratio. So you would take the cups of rice or the bowls of rice and multiply by 2, and you would get the cups of water that you need to add. So let's think, is this a proportional relationship? Yeah, it is, because you're multiplying by 2. So if we wanted to continue the pattern, for 3 cups of rice, you would multiply by 2 and you would have 6 cups of water. There's another way of measuring that was very popular, and I know a lot of people use this method, and that's to measure how much water you're adding by using your finger. So this isn't, you're not thinking about how many cups of rice and how many cups of water. You just put your finger in. Some people say the second joint on your finger, some people say the first one. It also kind of depends on how big your fingers are. But this first student uses both methods. So sometimes they use their finger, but they also said that their mom taught them another way by using measuring cups. So for 3 cups of jasmine white rice, you would need 5 cups of water to make it nice and fluffy, right? So if we were going to write that as a ratio, we would say it was 3 to 5 right here. If we're going to write it with a colon, we would write it just like that. And this last method I wanted to highlight just because I had never heard of this way before. So this person said that they know how much, or their mom knows how much water to add, because she pours water on the rice and tries to make the wooden spoon stand in the rice. And if it doesn't stand, it means that the rice has way too much water. You really don't want too much water with rice, but you also don't want too little water either, right? Because then it will burn. So your mission this week is to try cooking rice in a new way. So you might have to convince your parents to let you do this, but maybe if you always measure with measuring cups, you could try measuring by using your finger or by using the spoon method. Or if you always measure with your finger, you could try using measuring cups. One method I didn't mention was that a lot of people said that they use a rice cooker and that there are lines inside the rice cooker to tell them how much water to add. And that's pretty handy too, right? So you don't need another measuring cup, you just use your rice cooker to help you. So remember, whichever way you cook rice, as long as you enjoy it, that's what matters. And I really encourage you to try a new way of cooking rice this week. Good luck!